Good morning guys, welcome to our second session for GCSE Mathematics Paper 2, and this is the same paper that you guys took this half term. So we're just going to go over paper 2 and I would expect you to take notes as we go along. So let's have a look at question 1. The line with equation y equals 2x plus 7 intersects the y-axis at A. Complete the coordinate of A. Oh, okay, so they want us to find out the y-intercept. So this would mean that we're going to be taking this to there. That's what the y-intercept is, and remember, coefficient of x is going to be your gradient, just as an additional information for you, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question number 2, write down a fraction equivalent to 1.875. So 1.875 is actually 1,875 divided by 1,000. I could just leave it like this, or so you would get full marks if you write 1,875 out of 1,000. Or you could just type it in your calculator and find it out to be 15 out of 8. Or you can then convert it to a mixed fraction, so that's going to be 8 times 1 plus a 7. So that's how you get full marks from this question. Question 3, solve 5x plus 11 equals 3x plus 19. Remember what we usually say to you, we're going to be balancing the equation and we're going to need to get rid of the smallest x first. So the smallest x in this case is going to be 3x, so I'm going to be taking 3x away from both sides as it is a positive. So 3x take away 3x is going to cancel out, 5x take away 3x is going to give you 2x plus 11 is equal to 19. Take 11 away from both sides is going to give you 2x is equal to 8, and divided by 2 to both sides, so x is going to be 4, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 4. A map has a scale of 1 to 5,000, so that means every centimetre on a map is going to be 5,000 centimeters in real life, because we can't have that big of a paper, so that's why they try to use scales when they're sketching these. How many meters are represented by a length of 4.5 centimeters on the map? Well, this is in bold, so that means we are going to do some conversion definitely. So if we are going 1 centimeter to 4.5 centimeters, that means we are scaling them up, so it's just going to be timesing it with 4.5. So you're going to do the same thing to both sides and use your calculator to find it out to be 22500. Remember, this is 22500 centimeters. They want us to convert it into meters, so that would mean that we need to divide it by 100, because in every meter there are 100 centimeters. So if we divide it by 100, the answer is going to be 225 meters, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Okay, question 5. The number of hedgehogs in England is expected to reduce by 4% each year. Assume there are now 1 million hedgehogs in England. Work out the expected number of hedgehogs in England after 5 years. So this is going to be a compounded percentage. So if it is reducing by 4%, that would mean that we have, well, 100% take away the 4% is going to give you 96%, which is going to be 0.96 as a decimal. So if we do 1 million multiplied with 0.96 to the power of 5, because it is over the period of 5 years, we'll be able to find out the number of hedgehogs. So it's, if I just quickly type it into my calculator, 3360 times 0.96 to the power of 5, you need to get something, like on my calculator display at the moment, I've got 815,372.6976. So if you get something around this number, then that would be great. I mean, of course, you can't have 0.6976 of a hedgehog, so you're going to have to write it down as 815,372. And that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 6. Here's cuboid A. Cuboid B is made from two cuboid A's. Okay, so we've got cuboid A, we've got two of them to make cuboid B. Volume of A to volume of B is 1 to 2. Okay, so that's a ratio. So Matthew says the surface area of A to surface area of B must be 1 to 2 as well, because B is made of 2 of A. Right, the surface area of this one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've got one at the back, 6. Imagine if it is 1 by 1, if I say it's 1 centimeters by 1 centimeters. If you find the area of each face and find out the surface area, that would be 6 centimeters squared. And this one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 at the back, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 10 centimeters squared. So the ratio of their volume is going to be 3 to 5 really. It's not going to be 1 to 2. So it is not going to be the same. You know, for us to give a reason, well, the reason I would give is that the base of this section here and base of this and base of this is not going to be included. So the faces are hidden. So the two faces are hidden, so you won't be able to count that as surface area because it is just part of the 3D shape now. So that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question number 7a, complete the table of values for y is equal to x squared plus 2x. Okay, so we're just going to have to substitute -2. The rest is given to us, so -2 and 1 is going to be substituted into our equation. So we have y is equal to -2 squared plus 2 times -2. -2 squared is 4. 2 times -2 is going to be -4. There you go. And 4 take away 4 is going to be 0. For this one here, in order for us to be able to find y, we're going to do 1 squared plus 2 times 1. So that's 1 plus 2, so that's going to be 3. So that we've got 2 marks from this. And the next bit is going to be just plotting and sketching the information. So it's going to be -2 and 0, so it's just going to be there. So that's a root then. -1, -1, 0, 0, and 1, 3. Let me just use a different color, and I can just use it as like, because I'm doing it on a pad, I'm just going to try and sketch it as close as I can. There you go. And that is how we get full marks from this question. Right, let's have a look at question 8. Jing has £2,450. She saves some and gives the rest to her 4 brothers. Okay, money saved to money given to brothers 2 to 5. She gives each of her brothers the same amount, so it's going to be divided into 4. Does each brother receive more than £430? Okay, let's quickly have a look at what this ratio is going to divide into. So if I've got £2,450, the total parts of the ratio is going to be 7. So I'm going to have to divide this by 7, which should give me 350 each for the ratio. So money saved to money given is 2 to 5. I'm just going to times this with 350. Times this with 350 to find out what 2 lots of 350 is going to be. So I know it's a calculator paper, guys, but I'm just doing it as I go along. 5 times 350 is going to be 1,750. Okay, so you can just check your answers. When you add these up, it should give you 2,450, which it does. So I did the calculation correctly. So this is the section that's going to be divided into 4 brothers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1,750 divided by 4, so then they can get equal amounts. 43750 for each brother. The question says, does each brother receive more than 430? Oh yeah, they do. Yes, they do. By £7.50. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Question 9. The pie chart shows information about people at a fair during 3 days. Friday, Thursday, Saturday. There were 132 more people on Friday than on Thursday. Work out the number of people on Saturday. So the difference between the Friday and Thursday will equate to 132 then. So if I do 80 take away 25, that is going to give me 55 degrees, and 55 degrees is equivalent to 132 people. So if 55 degrees is 132 people, if I find out what 1 degree is, I can find out anything on this pie chart really. So how do I do that? I divide it by 55. Divided by 55. I'm going to use my calculator for this one. 132 divided by 55 is going to give me 2.4. Right, 2.4 people. Right, every degree on this pie chart is going to be equivalent to 2.4 people. They want us to find out the number of people on a Saturday, so we need to find out what this angle here is. 80, 90, 105 is what I've got in total from Friday to Thursday. 80 plus 25 plus x, the section that I'm trying to find out, should be adding up to 360 degrees. That is 105 plus x is 360 degrees. Therefore, the x is going to be 360 take away 105. If I just take away 105 from both sides so you guys see what I'm doing. X would be 255, 255 degrees. So if this section is 255 degrees, and if I do 255 times 2.4, that's going to give me the number of people who are going to be at this fair, and it's going to give me 612. There are 612 people at a fair on Saturday. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, let's have a look at question 10. Use trigonometry to work out the value of x. Okay, we're using trigonometry. There's a 90-degree angle. That means we're using SOHCAHTOA. So let's label the sides of this triangle. So we've got the Pac-Man. I always tell you guys to draw the Pac-Man where the angle is. Opposite Pac-Man is going to be opposite. In between angle and 90 degrees is going to be adjacent. And what you have opposite 90 degrees is going to be hypotenuse. In this question, I'm using these two sections because I'm trying to find out x, and the adjacent is given to me. So opposite and adjacent is going to be what I'm looking for. So it's going to be tan. So I've got tan 58 is equal to opposite divided by the adjacent, which is going to be x divided by 46. At this stage, you're going to need to times both sides with 46. And that's going to give you x is equal to 46 times tan 58. And when I type that into my calculator, it's going to give me 73.6153884. I'll just write this one and leave it as it is. So 73.6 is going to be okay. The question is not asking us to round it to anything, so you can just write down 73.6, 1 dp inside the bracket, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Question 11. Millie is estimating the value of this calculation. She rounds each decimal number to one significant figure. When you're estimating, you are going to round everything to one significant figure generally anyway. So work out Millie's estimate. So let's just figure out the estimate. So it's going to be 1 out of, so 1 to one significant figure is 1. 8.34 to one significant figure is 8. And we'll times this with 10.21 is 10. Cube root of 8 is going to give you 2, and that needs to be squared. Because 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 8. And then we are going to square the 2, so that's going to give you 4. 1 out of 4 times 10 is going to be 1 out of 40. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, question 11b, Millie says, my estimate must be more than the exact value. The estimate must be more than the exact value. Yeah, it will be more than the exact value, and it's got something to do with the denominator. So if you think about the actual question, it was cube root of 8.34 squared times it with 10.21. So when you rounded it, you actually ended up with cube root of 8 squared times 10. So the original one has a bigger denominator, and this one's got smaller denominator. And since the original one is going to be dividing your number into a bigger number, that means that the answer is going to be smaller. So your estimate is going to be greater than the exact value. So you can say that the denominator is since the denominator is smaller in your estimate, you will know that the estimate is going to be more than the exact value. So that's how you get full mark from this one. So here's a bias spinner for question 12. Ali, Ben and Kerry want to know the probability of spinning red on the bias spinner. They each spin it and count how many times it lands on red and divide it by the total number of spins. Ali says I spun red the most times. Ben says I spun the spinner the most times, and Kerry says my relative frequency of red is 0.25. Who had the best estimate for the probability of spinning red? Well, you would have the best estimate of any probability when you trial the probability again and again. So more times you're actually spinning the spinner is going to give you the accurate result. So it is going to be Ben, as he spun the spinner the most times. So it's going to be this section, and you just write down your reason as that, and that's how you get full marks from this. Question 12b, Dev spins the spinner 80 times. So I think it is the same spinner that they're talking about. It's connected. He says my relative frequency of red is 0.185. Give a reason why his relative frequency must be wrong. Okay, relative frequency multiplied by how many times that was actually spun is going to give you the answer. So it's going to give me, if I type this into my calculator, it's going to give me 0.185 times 80 is going to give me 14.8 times. So they ended up with red 14.8 times. That is impossible. So you can't have a decimal as an outcome. So you can't have 14.8 times red coming up. It's either going to be 15 or 14. So it cannot be a decimal. So that's completely wrong. And that is the reason why. You can't have 14.8 times red coming up when you're spinning the spinner. So question 12c is Elena spins the spinner 125 times. Again, if I spin the spinner 125 times and my relative frequency is 0.32, this is how many times the red's going to come up, and that is going to be 40. This would mean that the rest is going to be green because you only had two options. You had red and green. So if I do 125 take away 40, I can find out how many is left. So that's going to be 85 green. 85 plus 40 is going to give 125. So there are 85 greens. So it landed on green 85 times. So that's how you get 2 marks from this. Question 13. Charlie's driving 293 miles home. He leaves at 9 AM, travels the first 176 miles at an average speed of 48 miles per hour, drives the rest of the way at an average speed of 65 miles per hour. Will he be home by 2:30 PM? You must show your working out. Okay, so there are 2 parts of this journey then. Part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is going to be, the distance is going to be 176 and speed is going to be 48 miles miles per hour. We're trying to find out the time. For distance for this side is going to be 293 take away 176. So because they travelled 176 miles already, so if I take 176 away from this, it's going to give me 117 miles. The speed is going to be 65 miles per hour, and we can find out the time. So speed equals distance out of time. This means 48 is equal to 176 out of time. So your time is 176 out of 48, which should give us 220 minutes. This is not 2 hours 20 minutes, by the way, guys. This is 220 minutes because I multiplied it with 60. I times this by 60 to find out how many minutes it's going to take. So that's 220 minutes. This is then going to be, so time is going to be distance out of the speed. So that's 117 out of 65. So if I have 117 out of 65, that gives me 9 out of 5. And if I times that with 60, that's going to give me 108 minutes. So 220, 108. In total, this person is going to take 328 minutes to get to where they are. So they will be, if I do 328 minutes in hours, I'm going to say if 1 hour is 60 minutes and 328 minutes is going to be what? So that's going to be 328 divided by 60. So that's going to give me 5.46 hours. So that means 5 hours and 0.46 of an hour. So that is 0.46 times 60. So that's around 27 minutes, guys. So that would mean 5 hours, 27 minutes. So from 9 o'clock, if I add 5 hours and 27 minutes, it's going to be around 2:27 that this person is going to arrive. So by 2:30, yes, they will be home by 2:30. Yes, he will be home by 2:30. And that's how I get full marks from this question. Conversions are very important for these type of questions, so you need to practice how to convert fractions into hours. And as soon as you get 5.46, that doesn't mean you're going to have 5 hours 46 minutes. It means 5.46 of an hour. So that's 5 hours 0.46 of an hour. So you will need to just convert that as well. So that's going to be 27 minutes. Right, question 14. Kieran paid income tax and national insurance on her annual salary. Income tax is 0% of the first 12,570 of her annual salary. So that means from here up to £12,570, they are paying 0%. Anything above that, they are going to pay 20% tax, which is income tax. National insurance is going to be for up to 9,880, they are not paying anything, but anything above that is going to be 13.25%. So Kieran paid £5,186 income tax. So this was income tax. Okay. So that's how much they paid. They paid you pay 20% income tax. How much national insurance did you pay? Okay. If they paid £5,186 into income tax, so that means 20% of their income is 5,000. So 20% tax is going to be 5,186 This means that 100% of this section is going to be, if I scale them up and I times it by 5, that's going to give me £25,930. But remember, in order for us to be able to find out how much they get paid annually, we will need to add on this section because they haven't paid any tax for that one. So £25,930 plus 12,570 is going to give you £38,500 is how much they get paid. So from this, we can find out how much national insurance they paid. So what we know that they don't pay anything up to 9,880. That would mean 38,500 take away 9,880 is going to be the amount that's left for them that they will pay tax for. So that's going to be £28,620, and they will take 13.25% of this. So 13.25% is the same thing as 0.1325. If I times that with 28,620, they will pay £3,792.15 national insurance. And that's how I get full marks from this question. Okay, question 15. 180 runners started a marathon. Some of the runners did not complete it. The histogram represents the times of the runners who did complete the marathon. Okay, how many runners did not complete the marathon? So if I find out the number of people who completed the marathon, I can take it away from 180 and find out how many runners didn't complete the marathon, really. So I can do, we need to remember that when we're trying to find out the amount from a histogram, the frequency we're trying to find out, we need to find out the area of each box. So it's just going to be 140 to 60 is 20. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 0.8. So that's going to be 20 times 0.8, which means 16 people. Next one is going to be 20 times 1. Go along, that's like 1.8. That's going to be 36 people. So I've got 16, 36. These are the people who completed the marathon. Then I've got 40. So from here to here is 40. Up to here is 1.2. Scales are really important, so you need to look into the scales in between those numbers so that you've got 48, 220 to 260. So I've got 40 times 0.7. That's 28. So I've got 48, 28, and then I've got 260 to 320 is 60. And I'm timesing it with, so that's 0.4, that is 24. So when I add these up, it's going to give me 152 who completed the marathon. So if I do 180 take away 152, which is going to give me 28, I will know that 28 people did not complete the marathon. And that's how I get 3 marks from this question. Right, question 15b is asking us to draw a box plot. So we've got some information given to us from this table, so we're just going to be using it. So it says the least distance was 5. That means I'm just going to draw a line here on 5. That's done. The greatest distance is 23. So 20 to 25, in between is 22.5, so that means 0.5, 23. It's going to be here, based on the scale, so that's going to be 23. 1, 2, 3. So each little square is actually half. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2.5. That would mean another half, which is this section here, is going to be 3. That's how I calculated it. Then we've got the median to be 18, 15, 16, 18, which is here. The lower quartile is 11, 10, 11, goes here. This is the lower quartile, this is the median, this is the least, this is the greatest, and interquartile range is 9, so that means from 11 we'll need 9 more. So it's going to be 20. Because lower quartile, upper quartile take away the lower quartile, it's going to give you the interquartile range. And this is how I complete my box plot, and that's how I get 3 marks from it. Okay, question 16. In this right angle triangle, A is 16, so this is 16. The ratio of A to C is going to be 4 to 5. So you've got 4 to 5, 16 to something. So obviously from 4 to 16, you'll times it with 4. We're going to do the same thing, we're going to times it with 4. That's going to be 20. Work out the area of the triangle. In order for us to be able to work out the area of the triangle, we'll need to know the base and the height. So this is your base, this is your height. So we know the height, that's 16. We need to find out the base. This would mean that we can use right angle triangle, 2 sides are given. I can use Pythagoras' theorem. So I can do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 16 squared plus b squared equals 20 squared. I can rearrange and find out the value. So it's going to be 400,256 plus b squared. B squared is going to be 400 take away 256. B squared is 144. B is 12 then. So this would mean that if I want to find out the area of the triangle, I will do 16 times 12 and half it. So when I do 16 times 12, that gives me 192, and I'm going to half that to find out the area of the triangle. So that's going to be 96 centimeters squared. And that's how I get full marks from this question. Right, question 17. Solve x plus 8 out of 2 plus 9 minus x out of 5 is equal to 4. Of course, we're adding fractions, so we need to make sure that we have the same denominator. So we need to times these by. So this would mean that we're going to have to expand brackets. So that's going to be 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 8 is going to give you 40. 5 times 2 is 10. 18, take away 2x. 10 is equal to 4. Since I have the same denominator now, I can add this fraction and then I can multiply both sides with 10. 5x take away 2x is going to be 3x, and 40 plus 18 is going to be 58 out of 10 is equal to 4. We can times both sides with 10 at this stage to cancel out the 10s. That will give us 3x plus 58 is equal to 40. Take away 58 from both sides. It's going to be, well, this is going to cancel out. 3x is equal to negative 18 divided by 3 divided by 3. X is going to be negative 6. And that's how I get full marks from this question. Right, f of x and g of x is given to us. They would like us to show that f of g of x is going to be 4x squared plus 28x plus 40. So they want me to take g of x and substitute it into f. So this will be substituted in here and in here, and then I will have to do some expansion and collecting like terms. So it's going to be 2x plus 4 squared plus 6 times 2x plus 4. This is f of g of x. So 2x plus 4 squared is going to be 4x squared, 8, 16x plus 16 plus 6 times 2x and 6 times 4. That is 12x, 24. It's going to give me 4x squared plus 28x plus 40. And that's what they wanted me to prove. Now that we have this, it says, can you now equate what you have to -5 and solve it? So if I have 4x squared plus 28x plus 40, and that is equal to -5, in order for me to be able to solve this, I'm going to have to make sure that my equation equals 0. So I need to add 5 to both sides, which would give me 4x squared plus 28x plus 45 is going to be 0. So from here, I'm going to need to think about factorizing and solving. So when we are factorizing these, I know some of you divided it by 4 to start with, but then if you do that, you're going to have to divide the -5 by 4. That would give you a decimal in the end. So you're going to need to think carefully about this. So in this case, you're either going to be completing the square to solve it, or you can use the quadratic formula x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay, and when you do that, you will be able to find out your x to be -2.5 and your x to be -4.5. So I would recommend everyone to use minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac 2a. Remember, this is a, well, you're going to be using this one. This is a, this is your b value, and this is your constant. So you will substitute those in, and you will do it with a positive and a negative separately, and then you will get 2 answers. And yes, you can get 2 negatives if that's a question that you guys are asking to yourself about. So this is how we get full marks from this question. Right, question 19. 2 integers have a difference of 6. The integers are multiplied together, 9 is then added. So if I start off with integer x, the difference of 6 means that you could either use x take away 6 or x plus 6, because it is, again, the difference between them is 6. Okay, I'm going to use a positive one, and I'm going to end up with this, and then it says, can you multiply this and then add 9 to it? So when I multiply them, it's going to give me x squared plus 6x plus 9. Can you prove algebraically that the result is always going to be a square number? Okay, so when I factorize this, it's going to be x plus 3, x plus 3. This would mean that it is going to be x plus 3 squared. Therefore, it is always a square number. And that's how I get 3 marks from this question. Right, so question 20a, Zeno thinks that E and D are linked by the equation E is equal to 36 out of D. Here is the graph. Choose one point on the graph and state if Sunil's equation is correct for that point. Okay, so if I pick anything that goes to 36 really, let's just pick anything that goes to 3. If I pick 3, I should have 12. So if I go along 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah, there you go. That's how I get full marks from it. Right, for question 20, we have G is directly proportional to the square root of H. So we've got G is directly proportional to square root of H, which is G is equal to K root H. So if G to H is 3 to 2, then H is 16. We are timesing this with 8, so that's going to give us 24. So if G is 24 and H is 16, I can find out the constant, right? So that's going to be divided by 4. K is going to be 6. So G is 6 root H. If H is 100, what is G, is what we're trying to find out. It's going to be 60 then. And that's how I get full marks from this question. Right, for question 21, we found the area of the side elevation, and this is what the shape is roughly going to look like. So if I know the area of this, and then if I times it with 12, that will give me the maximum number of cubes that I can actually put into this shape. So if I do 66 times 12, I think I'm just going to get something around 792 is the maximum amount I can have. So if I think about it this way, and if I just try to divide this into this little section, I can do 7 times 8, which is 56, and 56 multiplied with 12 is going to give you 672 is what you could fit in here. 672 is what you could fit in here. The minimum possible number of and the minimum possible number of cubes that we can have. Okay, for question 22, describe the single transformation that maps shape A to shape B. So A to B. So we need to say 3 things. Number 1, what the transformation is. Number 2, the center point, and number 3, the scale. So we can clearly see that this is going to be an enlargement. So it's going to look, well, so if I just connect the rays, I can see that the center is going to be 7, 4. Enlargement through center 7, 4, and from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 4 to 2, it's going to be scale factor of half, but as you can see the shape is flipping, so it's going to be a negative scale factor of half. So that's how you get, with a scale factor of negative a half, that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, for question 23, a boat sails 35 kilometers north from A to B. So A to B, show that the distance the boat sails from C to A, which is this bit here, C to A, is going to be 79 to the nearest kilometers. Okay, so I've got a side, I need to find out this one here. So this section here is going to be 100. So this is going to be a cosine rule then. So the 2 legs that connects to the angle. So we're going to need to do, if I call this x, it's going to be x squared is equal to 65 times x squared, so d 35 squared, take away 2 times 65 times 35, 65 times 35, times cos the angle, which is going to be cos 100. So x squared is going to be 6240 point something. 6240 point something, and then when I square root it, it's going to be, because I'm going to have to square root both sides to get rid of the squared, it's going to be 78.9, which is 79. So that's how I get full marks from this. Work out the bearing of A from C. A from C. So they want me to work out this section here, or I can just do it the other way around, this section there. So what I mean by that is this section here or that section there. What I mean by that is I can find out this angle here by using the sine rule. If I call this x, so I can say 35 out of sin x is equal to 7.9 out of sin 100. I will then need to do cross multiplication here, so that's going to be 35 sin 100 is equal to 7.9 sin x. Divide both sides with 7.9. I'm going to carry on writing down here. Sin x is going to be, I'm just going to quickly type it into my calculator, and I need to do shift sin, and then I'll substitute 35 sin 100 out of 7.9, and that will give me 25.8, which I can round to 26. So I know this angle here is going to be 26. We know that this angle here should add up with this angle to give you 180 degrees, so that's co-interior angle, so that's 100. So we've got 126 in total there. So in order for us to be able to find out C to A, which is this angle here, we know that it needs to give you 360 degrees. So you can do 360, take away 100, take away 26, and that will give you 234 degrees of your bearing, and that's how you get full marks from this.